I have many stories, but I prayed this morning and I said, God, which one should I say? Which one? And so it was very heavy in my heart to say this one. So this is when I was married and I lived in Kramer Hill. And I was going to work, and when I drove by, I seen a gentleman standing outside with 2 suitcases like this. It was freezing cold, and he was just standing there. And when I seen him, right away, I could hear God saying, help him. And so I drove away from him because I was on my way to work, and I was like, okay, how am I going to help him? What does he need? So then I got to work, and I forgot all about it and went to work, and then I left again, and when I drove back home, he was standing in the same area, just standing there with his suitcases. And I remember, I said, oh my God, I need to help him, but I don't know how. So went back home, spoke to my husband, and I told him what I seen and what I heard, and he said, here you go again with your craziness. You always want to help people and stuff. He said, leave that man alone. Somebody else is going to help him. So I said, okay. So the next day, the same thing happened. I seen him. I prayed for him. Didn't approach him because I'm by myself. And I know what I have always learned is women minister to women and men minister to men. So I was struggling with that. So then again, I spoke to my husband. I said, listen, I keep hearing that we need to help him. And he was like, I don't want to bother with that. He didn't want to be bothered with it. So here it is, Sunday morning, we're getting ready for church, and I can hear God saying to me not to forget about him. And I told him, God, you need to talk to Ben, because I can't do this by myself. I need to go with him. And so we went to church, and as soon as church was over, we got in the car, and Ben told me, let's go find the man. I said, okay. And he said, where do you think he's at? I said, well, this is where I seen him. So we went there. We didn't see him. I said, let's go to Camden. So we went to Camden, went around Federal Street, and there he was standing just like that with the 2 suitcases. Ben went up to him and spoke to him, and I saw him that he was bringing him to the car. And I said, come in. And he said, no, I don't want to leave my suitcase outside. Somebody will steal him. So Ben brought in the suitcase, and we talked to him. And I told him, do you need help with addiction? He said, no, ma'am. He was an older man, too. He was not a young man. I would say he was like 45, and not that's older, but I'm saying he wasn't a young guy, okay? He wasn't a young guy. So I told him, do you need help with it? No, ma'am. I said, alcohol? No, ma'am. I said, well, how can we help you? And he said, well, right now I'm hungry. I said, okay, we could take care of that, no problem. What else? He said, I want to go home. I said, where's home? He said, Georgia. I said, okay, we could do that. I looked at Ben, I said, we could do that? He said, yeah, we could do that. I said, okay, let's get you some food. We went and got him some food, and we drove to Philadelphia. And as I'm talking to him, I told him, do you believe in God? He said, I used to believe in him, but he's forgotten me. He don't listen to my prayers. He doesn't listen to anything. And I said, well, we're here today to tell you that he's listening to you, because he told me to come here to look for you. And I told him, I seen you down State Street and Federal, and you were standing there with your suitcase for 2 mornings. He said, yep, that's true. And I said, and we look for you today. So God is saying to you that he loves you and that he's here with you. And look, we're going to help you. We're going to get you back home. So we bought him a ticket to Georgia, bought him some snacks. Ben put $20 in his pocket. We waited for the bus to come, and we put him in the bus. What happened to him after that? I don't know. Only God knows. But I know that I was obedient. And in my obedience, I caused conflict with my husband. But I kept pushing, because I know that God was speaking to me directly about it, and I heard him. And I want to say that when I hear God, I always hear him on the left, always. It's this voice that I hear that I know is him. It's very quiet. It's not demanding. It's not pushy. It's nothing. It's just this quiet voice that I know that when I hear it, I know it's God speaking to me. And like I said, for the glory of God. Amen.